Hello everybody, welcome to Movie Logic. Today we're looking at Twister, a film released in 1996, and for the time being actually had really groundbreaking CGI. Of course, the CGI doesn't cut it nowadays because our eyes are used to more high definition, way more advanced technology, but during the time this was crazy, and this is actually the one thing people actually watched it for, was to see the CGI effects, not necessarily the storyline or even the movie, just to see how great the CGI effects were. So even though the CGI was great for 1996, there's a lot of flaws with this movie, a lot of scientific flaws, while the weather flaws, they didn't do their history, as we're gonna find out here in a minute, and let's get to it. Here we go in Oklahoma, June of 1969. This is the intro scene right here. It's pretty much just a stormy night. Real stormy night. It's such a stormy night that you can hear the electricity in the air. You can hear the lightning. Which is insane because I've never heard lightning before. I hear thunder, but I've never heard like electrical zaps zapping through the air. Here's a scene where we get to our history issues, and that says Joe's dad says that the Weather Channel said it could be an F5 or whatever weather station you're watching. So it could be an F5 Twister. Well, there's a problem with that because the Fujita scale, which is the scale to measure the intensity of a tornado, didn't come out until 1972. If it's currently 1969, this is 3 years prior to the Fujita scale even coming out or quote unquote being invented. So that this is a historical inaccuracy with the movie. So they go to their storm shelter like anybody would during a tornado. Tornado is coming at them directly. So this is putting pressure on the storm door and wants to pick storm door up. So Joe's dad tries to hold it shut with himself, which leads to him flying away in the tornado. But if you can tell, after he flies away, the pressure doesn't release and no one gets sucked out the storm shelter. If you're wondering why the tornado actually sounds like animals, it's because they used animal recordings and slowed them down for the tornado sounds, which doesn't make any sense because they could have just recorded actual tornado sounds. This right here is the absolute worst attempt at Earth I've ever seen. And this is where we come to this scene where Bill meets up with his old tornado chasing buddies, and they're trying to put Dorothy, which is actually like a nuance to something that really happened. I want to say a project in the 70s, a project called Toto, which stands for Tornado Table, and that they nicknamed it Toto after the dog from The Wizard of Oz. The van was behind him, but he drove off the road to let the van pass when the dude in the van was being a dick, and he had to go off to the side, and that's when that happened. And you act like the van pushed you off the road when you really didn't. He just honked his horn. You could have just not let him through. Instead, you drove into a bunch of pipes, and you blew your tire out. Here's where we see our groundbreaking CGI. Now, I know if you're freshly watching this and never seen this movie before, you'd be like, eh, that's all right. But in 1969, this was amazing. Like, that looked real to them. And here we can hear more of our growling noises from our animals recorded earlier. If you look here, he wrecked the truck into the bridge, and in the next scene, the truck is fine. And here we see the first of many times this tornado should have killed our cast. As you can see, it picks up the truck, it picks up the tractor, and then if you look, right after it hits them, it just kind of ropes out. This happens every time a tornado hits them. Every time. Every time a tornado goes over them or near them, the tornado will rope out, which doesn't make any sense, because just because it got near you doesn't mean it's going to die. So this is the first of every tornado in the movie that ropes out after it hits our cast. If you notice here, the truck goes from 45 to 0 instantly, and they're on a dirt road. Also, did you take a look at the speedometer? It only goes up to 999 miles. This is the famous water spout scene with the cows. Here, this tornado kind of multiplies like cells. Either one tornado is actually revolving around the other one, even though they're the same size, which I find kind of odd. Normally, the smaller one would be revolving around the bigger one, which is called a satellite tornado. So here comes our cow scene. This is what this movie is really famous for. This cow scene is not possible. Where did the cow come from? Was it just out for a swim? These water spouts aren't strong enough to pick up anything really. Water, sand, small debris. A cow? No. Here we see the water spouts actually coming together and kind of turning the truck in circles, which is odd. Also, these are massive water spouts. Like, these are unrealistically big water spouts. They're huge. They shouldn't be that fat. They're massive. So they get word of a tornado is active a tornado warnings, and they go chase it. So they're getting closer to this tornado, and it's starting to throw stuff at them like tricycles and boats. Like, this is a tornado in the woods down this back road. Where did this boat come from? Like, the debris aren't making any sense. It's just now they're throwing random stuff at this truck. Why is Dusty holding this umbrella when it's literally doing nothing? As we see here, the tornado is hitting where they're at, and everyone's looking up, and glass just explodes, and everyone just looks in the air to let glass go in their eye. Now, in this scene in Wichita is a real town in Oklahoma. They actually destroyed parts of the downtown of Wichita to film the scene, but it's okay because they actually rebuilt it right after filming was done. So now they saved Aunt Meg from dying in the collapsing house, and they saved the dog too. Very important that the dog gets saved, because if a dog dies in a movie, the movie kind of it's ruined for me. So now they're gonna go chase this tornado that attacked Aunt Meg. So they go to set their Dorothy down, and the pack is too light, and some debris hit it, and this tree goes under the truck, and this tanker starts flying through the air and bumps the truck off the tree and then continues to fly through the air. Now, if the wind is strong enough to pick up this tanker and throw it, this truck should be going with the tanker. So now the enemy storm chasers are chasing this tornado, and they're trying to give them advice, telling them to, you know, get off that route, get away from it, and they cut the radio off, and then, yep, this dude gets whatever that is through the face, and then they go flying through the air. So they get sucked up. So the truck drops with this cartoonish sound. And when it hits the ground, that is probably the worst explosion I've ever seen. So now they're running from the tornado, and yeah, it's throwing things at them like combine tractors, and the arm off the combine smashes the window out. But in the very next scene, there's no damage to the truck. I would like to think that if this house blew over like this, it's a pretty sturdy house. So it means it's probably just got pulled off its foundation. Now it's rolling like a ball down the road. This truck goes right through this house like it's no big deal, taking no damage, but through the living room, up a staircase, through a bedroom, through a bathroom, and out the other side, still on the first floor. So now they decide they're going to throw their truck into the tornado instead of trying to place it in the path. So now that they get themselves comically into this barn and they lock the door, the tornado can't come get them, right? They get sucked into the tornado. The belt's holding them. Now, if you keep in mind, this is an EF5 tornado. That means this has winds of roughly 300 miles an hour. So it would probably pull them apart, if not break the belt. If the belt didn't break, it would definitely pull them apart, so we'd have pieces of our cast flying through the tornado. Also, a tornado this big is most likely a multi-vortex tornado. So this little vortex in the middle, while it's not a thing, it's probably not a thing of the size of this tornado, because this is a wedge tornado. So it probably means there's multiple vortexes on the inside of it, which is we don't see, and they kind of get swirled up in it. Also, if they were to survive the pulling and tugging, and the belt didn't break, the debris in the tornado would kill them, because it just went through like 3 barns. There's a lot of debris in that tornado that's going to hit them and kill them. The cast would not survive. This is complete balls. And for the last time, after the tornado hits them, it dissipates, it ropes out, and the tornado's dead. No more tornadoes ever again. The best part of the scene is the movie ends with our good boy right here going to attack Dusty with all the licks. So anyways, that's going to conclude Twister, and let's go ahead and give this a score. I'm going to score it. I'm going to give this it's going to get a 3 out of 10. So it's going to be our lowest yet, and yeah, this movie made no sense. Nothing in this movie was even probable. Our cast should have died off the back. They just kind of forgot about things. They left their wrecked truck and the top to their bed covering just on the side of the road, and the banter didn't make any sense. It's just, none of this made any sense. It wasn't historically accurate. The only reason people come to watch this movie was for the CGI, and now the CGI is outdated, so no one really talks about this movie much. Anyways, if you're wondering what this splotch in the background was, this was my attempt at some weather charts. This is supposed to be like the storm, and we got a high pressure system meeting a low pressure system, which would probably create some tornadoes. Also, we have some new subscribers I'd like to go ahead and mention. We have Ronnie, Blake, Taylor Lee, and Yoral Laksa, I don't know how to pronounce this, and Deheo Merlio. I hope I got that right. Probably not, and if you unsubscribe, I don't blame you. I butchered that probably really bad. Anyways, if you subscribed and your name's not on the list, which is I know they are because I got 10 new ones, and these are the only ones I can see, except for Ronnie. He told me personally he subscribed, and I couldn't see his account. So I don't even know that's his account name. I know him personally, so he's like, hey man, I subscribed. I was like, okay, I'll put you on my board. Number 1, there you are. Next week we're covering It, the 2017 version, in homage to It Chapter 2 coming out later this week. So is 2017's It better than 1990's miniseries It? I guess we'll have to find out next week. So I'll see you then.